Good morning, I'm Karen, and I'm super excited because I'm starting a new series of technique-based videos today. And the first one is how to make a basic stamped greeting card. In honor of World Card Making Day yesterday, I was thinking about what I should do for an online event, and I realized that there are a lot of new people who have never made a card before, or they have and they're not happy with it. They don't know where to start. And then I also have some tips in this video for seasoned card makers as well. So the first thing that you want to do when you're going to set out to make a greeting card is choose a theme. It can be a birthday, a get well, an anniversary, a thank you, anything that you might go to the store to purchase a card for. So with some basic tools, you can make your own cards, favors, anything very inexpensively. And I'd like to show you how to go about doing that. So I chose my stamp set that I'm going to use today. And I decided to do just a basic note card. And this one I think I'm going to use dropping in to say hi, but I might change my mind and use one of the other ones. But I'm pretty sure I'm sticking to the dropping in to say hi. It's the Acorny thank you. It's in our Homemade for the Holidays 2015 Stampin' Up! Occasion catalog. So once you've chosen your theme, you would obviously choose your stamp set, which I've already done, and then you want to pick your color scheme. And today I'm going to use Whisper White for my card base, and I'm going to use Pear Pizzazz, and it's not showing up the same color on the camera as it is in person, but I'm using the Pear Pizzazz for my layer. I'm going to use Tip Top Taupe Stampin' ink and the Early Espresso ink pad as well. So now I've got my colors picked out. Next, you want to assemble all of your tools that you're going to be using. So I have my paper trimmer, I have my clear acrylic blocks. I'm going to be using 3 of the stamps in the set. So I have 3 of my blocks ready to use, my bone folder, my snail adhesive runner, and I'm just thinking if I need it, my paper snips, and I think that's it. So let's get started. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is make your greeting card base. And from one 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, you can make 2 bases. Now I am going to cut on this 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock on the 11-inch side at 5.5 inches. That's cutting the 11-inch piece or the 11-inch side in half exactly. Then you just simply turn one of those pieces and you want to take and score that at 4.25. Once you have that done, you can set that aside and we're going to cut our base. Now I cut my base at a 1/4 inch less, or I mean my layer at a 1/4 inch less than my card base because that makes an even border all the way around. So on the 8.5 side, I score that, or I trim that at 4 inches. And that will be 1/4 inch less than the one side of my card. And then again at 5.25. And that gives you your layer to add color to your base. I don't need my trimmer anymore. I will go now to the next part, but I would like to show you how nicely that makes a border. I've been trimming a lot, so I need to change my blade. But anyway, this is how you could tell when your blade needs changing. You get kind of this little bit of a frayed edge. I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but I can. All right, so you can see it makes just a nice little 1/8 of an inch border all the way around my card. Now I'm going to take and on my score line, I'm going to fold my card base and I'm going to use my bone folder to even that off and give it a nice clean fold. And I just kind of go over the whole front of the card. One thing to keep in mind is you do want your bone folder to be clean, because if you have ink, you're going to put ink all over your card. And so this is my card base, and this is my layer. So you can see that coming together pretty quickly. I've given you the measurements, no need to figure how to do that. So now we are going to create our card front. And on a coordinating piece of cardstock, and I am going to use just the Whisper White because it will go nicely against the Pear Pizzazz. I'm going to get ready to stamp my images like so. And I always take a little piece of washi tape when I'm using clear mount stamps. The reason is, if your block isn't 100% clean or your stamp is not 100% clean, they will not make a seal, and a lot of times your stamp will fall off. So instead of stressing about making sure that I have my blocks free of anything that will keep that from sticking, I just take a little bit of washi tape. And how many of us have thousands of rolls? I even have rolls that I don't like. This is a design that I do like, but it was handy, so I'm using it. And you want to roll that kind of tight, because if your piece of tape is too big or too loopy, the stamp will just kind of have too much movement and you won't get a clean image. Oh, guess what? I didn't realize these are photopolymer. They're not clear mount. So we don't have to use our washi tape. But I'm not going to start over. I'm just going to keep going. So I'm going to take Dropping By to Say Hi. I love the photopolymer because it clings every single time beautifully to your stamps. The photopolymer is a little bit newer to Stampin' Up. You always want to mount your stamps on a block that's slightly larger than the stamp. You don't want your stamp going over the edges or right to the edge. So now that I have selected my 3 stamps, I'm going to set the case aside and I am going to prepare to stamp my cards. All right. Let me get in here and get over my images and get over my paper. All right. So I'm taking my early espresso, and you kind of think about how you want this to look ahead of time. If not, you can experiment using your, you could do it on a plain piece of paper or scrap paper first, but you just decide how you want it to look. And I should be teaching you the right way to ink. You want to ink from the top, but all of us go and ink from the wrong side. You want to be sure that you cover your stamp completely with ink, or you're not going to get a clean image. All right, so I am going to go ahead and stamp this. And I've got Dropping By to Say Hi. The reason why I wanted to ink from the top is, see this little mark right here? You could probably see it just a little bit. That was because I got ink on my block by inking on top like this. All right, so this was my Tip Top Taupe, and I have decided I'm going to also do the bottom part of the acorn in, here I do it again, in the Tip Top Taupe. Sometimes you just have to slow down and think about it, and after you mess up your cards enough, you will do it properly. All right, so there's my bottom of my acorn, And here is the top part of my acorn. And I'm doing that in the early espresso. And again, I inked the wrong way, so I'm going to do it once the right way. The reason why this is working for me is because I'm very experienced, and I know that when I stamp, I want to go straight down, no wiggling. I don't want to let my block touch the paper, so you go straight down and straight up. No wiggling, no moving. If you're not getting a clean image, it's not because you're not jiggling your stamp or moving it. It's because you didn't get the proper amount of ink on it. Now I'm going to close up my ink pads, and I am going to take my scissors, my paper snips, and I am going to fussy cut. One of the things that I learned about fussy cutting from watching a different video is, well, the first thing, just trim around your thing to start so you're working with a smaller piece of paper. And I'm going to fussy cut all of my pieces to show you that you don't need, when you're starting out, framelits or punches. This set actually does have a punch that coordinates with it, and I'll show you that a little bit later, but I want to show you how nicely you can cut your images just by using your snips. All right, so you start out and you make your first cut, and you want to leave enough room, and I'm hoping that this will focus nicely. So when you get here, you make your little snip with those points of your paper snips, and the pointier your snips, the better. And you work by moving your paper and turning your paper instead of moving your scissors. Now that doesn't mean you never move your scissors, but it means for the most part you work your scissors, but you turn your paper. And when you get really good at this, you could do it pretty quick, but it is something, like all things, it will take practice. And you can see by turning the paper, I'm getting a nice edge, a fairly even edge that goes all the way around. And when you have the punch, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to have a little bit of an edge of the Whisper White that shows, or whatever your base color is, that shows around the edge. So that's my first piece. Now I'm going to go ahead and use the same technique, fussy cutting, to cut out the bottom of my acorn. And this has a fairly straight edge, so that's where I'm going to start with my cut. And as you see, as I'm going along, I'm turning my paper and very slightly moving my scissors. So whenever you come to a curve, remember to move the paper and not your scissors. Okay, so this is almost ready. All right, so I have the top and the bottom of my acorn. How cute is that? Now, you can also cut out your greetings. You would start in a spot, and you want to be about maybe 1/8 of an inch away. Start in a spot where you can go fairly straight, cut to the point where you'll be 1/8 of an inch away from your curve, and then do a turn of your paper with your snips right in that corner. Then once you've made your turn, you can go ahead and start moving your paper again with the curves. Now you want to leave some white, some of the Whisper White. The idea isn't to just cut it out right up along the edge, because if you have something like the period or the dot on a high, it's going to be really hard for you to cut that out. And you also want a little bit of the white to show, because that's the border of your greeting. All right, I'm almost done here. And I'm going to get to the end. I'm going to go all the way to the end because that is fairly straight right there. And I'm just going to give that a little snip. So now we've stamped, we've fussy cut. We have our top layer, our card base, and I'm taking my snail adhesive and I'm going to attach my first layer to my card base. Whenever I refer to a first layer in the future, I'm talking about this piece that you're putting down on your card base. And this will always be the card base. You don't need a lot of adhesive. A lot of times people use too much adhesive and their adhesive disappears really rapidly. You don't need that much. You mainly need it in your four corners, and you would just kind of look at it as you're setting it into place. Once you're satisfied with where it is, go ahead and rub your hand over that or your bone folder to attach it to the base. If you don't push it down, you have a little bit of flexibility to lift that and move it. But once you lay it down, if you try to lift that, you're not going to be happy with the results. It's going to wrinkle your paper, it's going to bend your paper, and your card isn't going to look that pretty. All right, so because this is a basic card, we don't want to make it too difficult, and just kind of play around with how you want your card to go. And again, I know this is super, super simple, but we don't want to scare people. I don't want to scare the beginners. I will do one on embellishing very shortly where I'll show you how to add more to this card to make it more of a wow card. So I'm thinking maybe this still is too much space. I am going to go back in with I've already done one in Early Espresso, and I will do another one in the Tip Top Taupe, the base and the bottom of the acorn in the Tip Top Taupe. And again, I'm rushing, so I'm not paying attention to the proper way to ink. But if you notice, I did get a little too much ink on there because I didn't do it properly, and you're not seeing the nice definition in the lines. So I'm going to go back in. I'm going to do it from the top. I'm going to restamp that image, and I go straight down, straight up, and I am much happier with the result of the second one because I inked it from the top instead of taking the stamp and inking on top of the stamp pad. So you can see there clearly is a difference in the way that you ink. All right, so very quickly, I'll show you again, but very quickly I'm going to fussy cut this out. Again, on the curves, not really moving my scissors, moving the paper. And as you can see, when you are well practiced at this, you'll get very proficient at fussy cutting. Somewhere down the line, you may decide you want to punch, or you may want to get the framelits and a big shot. But when you're first starting out, you really can make cute things without having all of the more expensive tools. And here we go. I am cutting out the top of the acorn, and I'm at a straight part so I can make a nice cut there, and another straight part. I like to go in and just cut off excess It's easier for me to work with. I don't hold my fingers as tight to my scissors, and my fingers don't hurt if I were to have to really cut a lot of the paper off all at once and be pretty precise. Okay, so now I have 2 acorns, and I'm thinking maybe I like that better. So I still think about how I'd like to arrange my card, and I think that'll be cute for a basic card. I do a class with some ladies who would just die if I had this much open space on a card. And that's okay because they're all very, very advanced. Sometimes they kind of run circles around me because they're so advanced. And they have taught me a lot because I learned things from them. And now I'm at the part where everything looks empty to me and I'm trying to fill up empty space. But this is going to be a very nice card for you to use. And again, it's blank inside. It's a note card so that I can write my message inside. I am going to overlap that acorn just a little bit, and maybe I'm going to put that down a little bit, and that'll take up a little bit more space on the card. Excuse me. And you will start to just arrange things the way you like them to look. And I am arranging upside down, so I think I'm doing a pretty good job because I had no clue how I was going to arrange this when I started. All right, now you could put your saying up here. You could put your saying in close. You could put your saying just about anywhere you'd like. And I just kind of move it around until I find a spot where I like it. And I think I like it centered a little bit. So when it comes to placing your things or choosing your themes or objects, it's all personal preference. But a very simple card for a beginner that shouldn't scare you. And once you can master this, we'll move on to teaching you how to dress that card up a bit and make it a little bit more, I don't want to use the word advanced because it really isn't. I'll say a little more embellished. And that will be in my second video today. I am going to take this same card and I'm going to embellish the objects and show you how to dress it up a little bit. So I hope you found that informative, and I hope that you enjoy it. And if you have questions, you can put those in the comments below, and as soon as I see them, I will get an answer for you. Or you can private message me at my Facebook page. You would just go to it's just Stampin' with Karen on Facebook. If you type that into the Facebook search box, that'll bring you to my Facebook business page, and you can ask any questions there, or you can send me a message there, and I do check it several times a day. So thanks for joining. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great day.